On our wedding day, she whispered to her bridesmaid, "I hope he doesn't cry. That would ruin the photos." They both giggled. I heard it all. An hour later, she found out some moments are better captured with the lens of reality. I'm just a guy from Ohio who likes quiet mornings, black coffee, and watching the Browns lose with style. Name's Jake. 35. Mechanical engineer by day, amateur chef by passion, and apparently, former husband to someone who mistook a wedding for a photo shoot. I never imagined I'd be the guy standing in a tux, watching his bride walk down the aisle while calculating the torque stress on the bolts holding up the arch. But hey, love does funny things to you, like make you ignore red flags big enough to cover a football field. Anna, that was her name. Blonde, petite, camera-friendly. The kind of woman who spoke in hashtags even when she wasn't online. Hashtag perfect wedding, hashtag blessed, hashtag forever starts now. We met at a friend's engagement party, and I'll be honest, I was 3 whiskeys in and thought she was out of my league. She laughed at my joke about the cake being store-bought. I thought, well, she gets sarcasm. That's a good start. Our courtship was a highlight reel. Brunches, wine tastings, trips to Vermont for the foliage. She was charming, thoughtful even, but only when there was an audience. Alone, she was different. Not cold, exactly. Just tuned to a different frequency. One where vulnerability was a sign of weakness. She always looked perfect. Not just put together, perfect. Hair like a shampoo commercial. Skin that glowed like she'd made a deal with a dermatologist, which her idea of relaxing was getting her makeup professionally done, so she could feel like herself. I, on the other hand, own exactly one cologne, and I wear it mostly to weddings and funerals. She told me once, half joking, that she was fixing me. I thought she meant it lovingly. You know, like how couples bring out the best in each other. Looking back, she might have meant it more literally. Still, I proposed. Because I loved her? Maybe. Because I thought I should? Definitely. My mom cried. Her friends squealed. And Anna posted a ring pic with the caption, "He finally did it. Hashtag rock on my finger." Things started to snowball. Suddenly, I was drowning in fabric samples and lighting arrangements. We were touring venues with indoor waterfalls and live peacocks. I wanted to elope in Colorado. She wanted a grand ballroom with chandeliers. Guess who won? Her maid of honor, Kelly, was like a walking bottle of rose with vocal fry. Always around, always whispering. I didn't trust her. Not because she was unkind. She was too kind. The kind that curdles under pressure. Fast forward to the wedding day. Everything was choreographed within an inch of its life. There were Pinterest boards and Instagram influencers and a drone. Yes, a drone. To get the overhead kiss shot. I just wanted pigs in a blanket. The morning was a blur of tux fittings and tight shoes and my Uncle Gary asking if we were really sure about an open bar. I kept catching myself in the mirror, half expecting to see a guy who looked more confident. I looked tired, polished but tired, like a mannequin who needed coffee. Just before the ceremony, I stepped outside to get some air. My bow tie felt like it was choking me. I walked past the open window of the bridal suite. And that's when I heard it. Anna, laughing with her bridesmaid, said, "I hope he doesn't cry. That would ruin the photos." Her bridesmaid snorted. Imagine if he ran off or something. Like, bolted. That would be so tragic, but also kind of epic. "No," Anna replied. "That would ruin everything. My followers expect perfection." My breath caught somewhere between my lungs and my stomach. I didn't move, didn't say a word. Just stood there, breathing in the scent of peonies and faking calm. Something inside me, some switch, flipped. I remember thinking, this isn't cold feet. This is cold blood. But I still walked down the aisle. I still said, "I do." I still kissed the bride. Because I had a plan. And an hour later, I showed her what imperfection really looks like. It started with the cake. We had a 7-tier fondant-covered monstrosity that looked more like a modern art piece than a dessert. It had gold leaf. It had sugar flowers. It had a small structural support system. It was designed by someone who described themselves as a cake architect. I had asked just one thing, for one small tier to be red velvet. My favorite. I figured, hell, if I'm marrying into a lifetime of selfies and seasonal throw pillows, I should at least get one tier of red velvet. Anna agreed. Said she'd make sure it was included. Guess what wasn't there? I asked one of the servers about it, and he looked at me like I just asked him to recite the periodic table. Said he'd check. He came back and said, "Sorry, sir. All tiers are vanilla almond." That's when I knew. Not just that she didn't care about the red velvet, but that she didn't hear me at all. Still, I smiled for the pictures, gave the toasts, thanked her parents, danced with my mom. All the expected boxes checked. But inside, I was already taking inventory. After the bouquet toss, I made my move. We had planned a grand exit. Sparklers, slow-mo kiss, the works. But as the guests lined up and Anna posed like she was being cast in a toothpaste commercial, I slipped away. Just for a moment. I grabbed my bag, pre-packed and hidden behind the church organ. Don't ask how I got it there. Let's just say I have my ways. I made sure everything was inside. Phone, wallet, car keys, a change of clothes, and the letter. Oh yes, the letter. I walked back to the venue, handed the letter to Kelly, and told her to give it to Anna after the honeymoon suite door closed. Kelly looked confused, suspicious, but she took it. And then I did the most cinematic thing I've ever done. I got into my car, rolled the windows down, and drove away. No slow-mo kiss, no sparklers, no hashtag. Just me, red velvet cupcakes I picked up from a bakery down the road, and my favorite Springsteen playlist on repeat. Let's just say, she didn't take it well. It took exactly 22 minutes for my phone to start vibrating like a jackhammer. Texts, missed calls, voicemails that probably violated some federal noise ordinance. I ignored them all as I drove out past the county line, trading church bells for the sound of my tires hitting gravel. By the time I checked into a cheap motel, one of those places that still uses actual keys, the wedding hashtag had already become a trending topic in our zip code. Hashtag where is Jake? Anna's Instagram had exploded. She posted a picture of herself alone in the honeymoon suite, captioned, "Sometimes even fairy tales end before midnight." Hashtag heartbroken, hashtag please respect our privacy. Please respect our privacy. Right? From the woman who once live-streamed herself unboxing a facial cleanser. The comments were something else. Did he cheat? Maybe he had cold feet. She deserves better. And my personal favorite. Maybe he died. The internet is wild. I didn't post anything. Not a word. Not even to defend myself. That would have given the whole thing a legitimacy it didn't deserve. But I did listen to her voicemail. Just once. She cried. Then she screamed. Then she cried again. Then she said, "I'll ruin you. You understand me, Jake? You humiliated me in front of everyone. I will ruin you." So much for hashtag heartbroken. I stayed off the grid for 3 days. Slept like a baby in that motel bed. Ordered greasy diner food. Watched late-night shows, and read an entire paperback novel cover to cover. You'd be surprised how peaceful life gets when no one expects anything from you. Then I made the call. To her father. He picked up on the second ring. "Jake, sir, I can't say I'm surprised, but I can say I'm disappointed." "Understood. You got guts. I'll give you that." Then he hung up. Turns out, not everyone was as shocked as Anna thought they'd be. By the end of the week, her influencer empire started to crack. One of her bridesmaids leaked the audio of that infamous bridal suite moment. The laughter, the dismissiveness, the "my followers expect perfection" line. The internet turned. Suddenly, hashtag where is Jake turned into hashtag run Jake run. My inbox flooded with strangers telling me I dodged a bullet. Memes popped up of my empty tux beside her full wedding gown. Someone animated it. It went viral. Anna went silent online. Her follower count dropped by the tens of thousands. Sponsors pulled out. Kelly sent me a message. "You okay?" I replied, "I'm free." And for the first time in what felt like forever, I actually meant it. I returned home a week after the wedding. Not to our apartment, the one with the geometric throw pillows and color-coded bookshelves, but to my brother's place. He greeted me at the door with a beer and a half-smirk. Well, if it isn't the runaway groom. I stayed with him for a month. During that time, I changed my number, deleted all social media, and took a leave from work. Not because I was ashamed, but because peace is a rare thing and I planned to savor it. Meanwhile, Anna wasn't done. She filed for annulment immediately, alongside a lawsuit. Yep, she tried to sue me for emotional distress, breach of promise, and, get this, brand sabotage. Her legal team claimed I'd intentionally tanked her social image and caused irreversible damage to her influence capital. Apparently, walking out on a wedding can cost someone thousands in brand deals. I could have told them that before they ordered a $4,000 floral arch. My lawyer laughed when he saw the paperwork. "Jake," he said, "I've handled corporate espionage cases less dramatic than this." She didn't win, but she made noise. Interviews, TikToks, a 47-minute YouTube video titled, "My Truth." I didn't watch it, but I read the comments. Some were supportive, some brutal. The internet has a short memory, but it loves a spectacle. She leaned into victimhood hard, told the world I blindsided her, that I never loved her, that I was emotionally unavailable, cold, and manipulative. Irony's a hell of a thing. Friends chose sides. Some dropped off the map entirely. Others reached out quietly. One sent me a text. "I always wondered how you kept up with her." So did I. It was around that time I got the letter. A real one. Not an email. Handwritten. 3 pages. From Anna. It wasn't what I expected. She wasn't angry. Not anymore. She said she understood why I did it. Didn't agree, but understood. She said she was raised to believe that being adored was the same thing as being loved. That attention was the same as affection. And somewhere along the way, she forgot how to be real. She ended it with, "I don't hate you. I just wish you'd told me who you really were." I didn't write back. Not out of spite. Just because I think sometimes silence says what words can't. Instead, I got back to building. I took up woodworking again. Started volunteering at a dog shelter. I made peace with red velvet being more than just a flavor. It was a symbol of small things that matter. One morning, I looked in the mirror and didn't see the tired mannequin anymore. Just a man, still standing. And finally starting over. It's been a year. 1 year since I left a woman in a white dress and a photographer holding a drone remote. People ask me if I regret it. Sometimes sincerely, sometimes with a smirk. I usually tell them this: I regret not doing it sooner. There's this myth that heartbreak has to be loud, messy, wine-stained. But some heartbreaks are quiet, like walking out of a museum and realizing none of the art ever moved you. That's what my marriage was. Beautiful framing, hollow walls. And now I wake up to peace. I make my coffee slow. I read more. I say no more often. I stopped wearing the cologne she picked out and went back to my cheap stuff from college. I like the way it smells. Like someone who doesn't give a damn what influencers think. I've met people, dated a bit. Nothing serious. But there was one woman, Nina. We met volunteering. She wears mismatched socks and laughs too loud. She listens when I talk, even when I'm rambling about torque ratios or 90s sitcoms. She asked me once, "What's the craziest thing you've ever done?" I said, "Left my own wedding." She blinked, then burst out laughing. "No, you didn't." I just smiled. The past doesn't haunt me. Not anymore. Anna exists now as a very odd chapter in a book I'm glad I closed. Every now and then I hear she's back online, rebranding herself. New name, new niche, wellness or crystals or something. I don't keep tabs. Sometimes when I walk past a bakery, I buy a red velvet cupcake. Just one. No reason, no occasion, just because I can. And every time I do, I think, this is what freedom tastes like. I never wanted to be a symbol, never set out to make a statement. But if you take anything from this story, let it be this: you don't owe anyone your silence. You don't have to play the part someone cast for you. And you sure as hell don't have to show up for a performance that never had your heart in it. Sometimes walking away isn't cowardice.